These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
And we're back with our Friday segment, Bruk It Down, Miss Jenny. Thank you so much. We're really getting into a topic here that affects a lot of people. I mean, it's one of these issues where no one is immune, and we're talking about self-esteem. One of the themes that we've had sort of this morning is positivity, good self-esteem. We talked to Miss Belize. She's obviously a person with good self-esteem, but even people who you think are super confident, they may also have, you know, their moments. But one of the things that we're going to talk about today is adolescents, teenagers, because if you can remember your days as a teenager, when you hit those teens, your body starts to change, your view starts to change, people's view of you starts to change, and this is a crucial time for self-esteem.
It's a crucial stage of development. The topic we're talking about today is beauty and brains, and I wanted to expand it into adolescent well-being and mental health, because adolescents of all the stages, and if you go to Freud, you go to all of them, Piaget, everybody else, they all say that adolescence is the stage where it makes or breaks a person. And you know, for years we've been talking to the government, to parents, to everyone about how we treat our adolescents. In fact, we need to start very early with children, but in adolescence, we really want, it's that period of stress and storm.
That's
you know,
right.
And you have to roll with them.
So some of the things that happen when we're teenagers are on the inside, hormones start to do different things.
Right.
We might start to notice boys, we might start to notice girls.
Right.
What are some of the things that are happening in terms of self-esteem, maybe from 11 going into 12, 12 going into 13? What are some of the things that parents should be looking at?
I really want to get to that in a few.
Oh, sure.
We'll be talking about that and talking about how we can help girls in particular.
Yes.
There have been lots and lots of studies done, and what they found is that boys tend to have pretty good, healthy self-esteem. Girls, on the other hand, don't. And for me, I'm sorry, that's why I was so happy I went to an all-girls school.
Yes.
Because we didn't have to compete or dumb ourselves down to not be as smart as the boys and things like that. We could have healthy competition among girls. Parents need to be looking, though, to see for depression. Adolescents tend to isolate themselves. They tend to do that anyway.
They go in their room, they close their
the door. But the thing is that parents need to know the difference between adolescent angst and depression. And when it has gone, it's crossed the line from just being a stage of development into something that might be a mental disorder. So parents have to be very, very observant of their teenagers. Critical time. I want to talk today, though, about positive coping skills for maintaining and enhancing mental health of the teenager. And we can't do that without first talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I remember that from high school.
High school, yes. And it's so important. Could you put the sign? Yeah, there it is. One of the things is that we always talk about, let's go teach the kids about self-esteem. Well, people can't have self-esteem until they've had other needs met. And according to Maslow, the physiological needs have to be met first. You have to have food, water, you know, the basic needs. And then a house, place to shelter, right? Your basic shelter needs, safety needs have to be met. We know that some of these kids are growing up in places where the shelter is very inadequate, or they're having to sleep on somebody's floor because technically they're homeless, but they're going from one family to the next. And that is so disturbing and so chaotic for a teenager.
And especially when they feel self-conscious, perhaps about their bodies, and they don't have any privacy.
Right.
That can also make a play.
Absolutely. And then the third one is what we call love and belonging. Right? They have to feel that the parents love them. They have to feel the sense of belonging. And this is the age where they get into their little cliques, right? And then girls can be very mean.
Absolutely.
And you know, sometimes they're pushed out of cliques. They don't have a little clique to belong to.
That's right.
And so if that need isn't met, they can't get up to the next need, which is the self-esteem needs, right? If I'm loved by my family, I have food. It doesn't matter how big the house is or how small the house is. I have a home. I have a place where I can call my own with my family. I'll be okay. And if I'm getting love from my family and I have a good relationship with friends, not a lot, doesn't have to be a lot of friends, but if I have friends that I can depend on, my self-esteem needs are going to be met. I am going to be okay, right? And then, you know, we go to the last one, which is self-actualization, and that is I get to the place where I'm able to volunteer, I'm able to do things outside of myself, self-efficacy, right? I get to that place because all these other needs are met. And what's important to know, though, is that if all of a sudden my house burns down, guess what? Everything goes out the window and I'm back to the needs of needing shelter and all those other things. So it's very important that parents understand this kind of thing when dealing with their children. So self-esteem includes the need for self-respect.
Yes.
I have to feel that I respect myself. I'm doing the things that I need to do that bring the honor, bring people looking at me with respect, right? The need for approval of others. I want to have approval. And I was looking at the beautiful young ladies next door, right? And I'm hoping that those kids, they have beauty, or they're pretty, right? Pretty is out here. Beauty comes from within, right? And I learned to love myself from the inside out based upon how my parents are treating me and the people in the home who are supposed to be the people that are my mentors, the people that are supposed to be loving me.
And some people don't really reach that point till much later in life, and it takes a lot of work. But you're saying that if parents are aware in their teenagers, they can start planting those seeds.
Listen, it has to come from parents or guardians or the people who are responsible for my well-being. Have to show me. And we're not a culture of hugs and telling you I love you. We're not that culture. But it's so important to start cultivating it because kids need to feel loved.
I do feel like perhaps parents right now who are in their 40s and 30s here in Belize are showing a little bit of a different approach in supporting school events, for example, going to see their child play in a school event, getting more involved, and that's a good trend towards self-esteem. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know a lot of times, like, parents don't come to parents' night, they don't come to the plays. Come support your child. Those are ways of showing love. If you have a lot of children, you really need to mark out an hour for the week with each child so that each child feels special. Is so important, especially and parents think that because I turn 12, I turn 11, I'm bigger, I should be taking care of the other ones and I don't need anything. But it's that age where I really need you to show me love, right? And it doesn't take a lot. It's being encouraging. And, you know, I come home and I have a B, I feel badly already, or I have a C, I feel badly already. Don't beat me up and say you should have made it better, right? Instead, did you do your best? What happened? How can you make this better? And trying our best to be understanding and helpful to these children. You know, self-esteem, let me give you some definitions. Self-esteem is the appraisal we make of our own character and abilities.
So we size ourselves up and we say, this is on the plus side, maybe not this is on the negative side, but we would like to see a balance, I would imagine, a realistic portrait of ourselves.
A realistic portrait of ourselves.
And that can be skewed.
The person who is a narcissist, who probably, you know, from birth, parents coddle them and give them everything they want, not need, and tell the child, oh, you're wonderful, etc. We are cultivating narcissism because these are children who are not going to be careful about anybody. They don't care about anybody. And narcissists can be in somebody who's poor or in somebody who's wealthy. It depends upon how the parent is nurturing that child and what they're saying to the child. It's very important that parents have realistic or share realistic information with children. You understand?
That's right.
Okay. The other thing is self-concept. Self-concept is the basis upon which we make the judgment about ourselves. So if I have positive, healthy self-concept, and that's where we want people to be, healthy self-concept, where I can honestly look at what I'm doing and what I'm not doing and who I am and those kinds of things, and do it in a very balanced way.
Yes, that's great.
Okay.
That's good for grown-ups as well. Good for adults at all ages to check in, right? To do a check-in and say,
absolutely,
you know what, I need to do a little bit better in this area, but doesn't make me a terrible person.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. So let's look at some aspects of this self,
yes.
the self itself. The self reflects how we organize the different aspects of ourselves, right? It is developmental, so it grows. It gets, as we go along in life, it develops into what we're feeling, right? Comprised of stages that are like the frames of a movie.
Oh.
Okay? So the self isn't just like developed right away.
Right.
We have mentors. We have people that are guiding us. And it's so important, like in schools. You know, in schools sometimes we have teachers who might call children stupid, or it's so important that teachers are nurturing to these kids. Even if you have, and I really want to say that, no kid is so bad that you can't take that child and find out what's going on. Because all behavior has purpose.
That's right.
All behavior has purpose. So if a child is acting out, it's so important to try to find out what's motivating the behavior and work with the child to get the child moving along in the right direction. But calling names or hitting just does not help. All it does is the child feels worse about themselves. They're already, sometimes I'm acting out because I'm looking for attention. I'm not getting any at home, right? Negative attention is better than no attention.
That's right.
And so I come to school and I act out because I want teachers' attention. If teacher pays attention to the negative behavior, what have you just taught me?
That this is a payoff. I get a payoff. Someone's looking at me.
Yeah.
And maybe in the bargain, I've made someone laugh. Or we talked about bullying earlier this week as well. I feel better about myself because I've made someone else feel badly.
Right. And so you don't want to validate the wrong behavior, right? So catch the child doing something positive. No, child brings home a D, you want to tell the child, okay, sweetheart, did you do your best? How do we make this better? Rather than beat him up for the D, because you'll get more Ds.
That's right. That's a good point.
Validate the right
That's right.
behavior. Catch the child doing the behavior the right way, the way you'd like it, and that's what you make a fuss about.
I love it.
And this way you build self-esteem, you continue to enhance self-esteem in the child.
I do think that one of the things that gets into the way of development of self-esteem for teens is parents may have the idea that, well, if you don't hear me say anything, that means things are going fine. It's when you hear me say something, then you need to worry. And that doesn't really work with kids, or especially teenagers, I think, because they're so much trying to adjust their self-concept, they don't hear anything. I mean, it's like adults, if we're in a workplace and no one's telling us anything, we don't know if we're doing a good job.
Right. And see, children, if the only time they hear from you is for something negative, what's the message?
That's right.
I'm negative. I'm nothing.
That's right.
Right. And so you are helping to contribute to the lowering of this child's self-esteem. It's very important, if you're going to scold, you also need to praise.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, if you're going to scold, please do it in private.
Yes.
And praise in public.
That's right. And that could also include, if you have siblings and you're going to be scolding, if you have siblings or kids, lots of kids, take the one child aside, not in front of all the other kids perhaps, because that's also a self-esteem issue. That's right.
Exactly. If you're going to scold, please go take the child in private. Don't make a scene and yell at the kids. I see parents walking on the streets and they're yelling at the children. Oh my gosh, and what's that doing to that child on the inside? Because not only are their peers seeing, but strangers are seeing. Right? And believers, we don't forget.
No.
We don't forget things. 20 years from now, your mom is calling and beat you up on the street because you do this. And the thing is, we really have to rethink the things we say and do with our kids, because we mess them up so badly for such a long time. So 5 strengths, and I would like people to write down one of these things and do it. You know, list 5 things you admire about yourself. Because people, we rarely ever stop and think about what the great things that we're doing. What are 5 things you admire about yourself? What are your 5 strengths? What are you really good at? List 5. It's so easy a lot of times, especially with teen girls. They can tell you all the bad things.
Yes,
but you ask them to tell you something positive about themselves, and they have a hard time.
And they feel also too that we train girls sometimes to be so humble. It goes the opposite direction. There's humble and humility is great, but so is self-confidence, pride in your accomplishments. And girls are not apt to speak up about their accomplishments because we've trained them to.
Don't be boastful.
That's right.
Do not be boastful. There's a difference between being boastful and being able to talk about what I've done and accomplished.
Yes.
And it's important for you to acknowledge the accomplishments of the child, but also for the child to acknowledge their accomplishments. Another one, list your 5 greatest achievements this far. Right? List 5 things that you can do to make you feel good about yourself. We have 5 things you can do to make you feel good about yourself. And these are just some things for people to think. We will find that most people can't write 5 of those things.
It's hard. It's hard to think. And we may have these things, but we don't want to give ourselves credit for that achievement. And I think that's really important, to give ourselves credit and to show that to your kids, that you give yourself credit for that. It was a small thing, but it was a big deal to me as your mom, your dad. Put that on the list.
Yep. And remember, as a parent, you are the mentor.
Yes.
You are the first mentor. You are the role model. They're looking up to you, and you're modeling for them behaviors that you would like to see them do. And we, as parents, we have to remember this. And please, I will say it over. I keep repeating it the whole time I'm here. If you're going to say something bad, please balance it with something good.
That's right. And this is not easy because it takes some thought. It's easy to lose your temper. It's easy to say something negative off the top of your head. But really being intentional about that good, the balance of the positive and the scolding or the criticism that you're making, it takes thought. It's not something that it comes naturally to most of us. But I'm sure you're going to tell me it pays off, right?
It does. You know, children, when I sit with children, I go, my mommy do that reel up. She just always reel up. Mommy, if you want to reel up, you get more of the same behavior the child is doing that you don't want.
That's right.
How about turning that around and telling the child some of the, catch her when she does something that you really appreciate. And even if you don't appreciate it, if it's something good, validate it.
That's right.
The children need to hear that.
That's right.
And I see these children and they're so, some present depressed, others present as so angry.
Yes, that anger is a really sad thing for me.
Yes.
I mean, I think because beneath the anger is depression.
Yes.
That's just the way that they're manifesting it.
Exactly, exactly. And boys tend to manifest with anger. We're seeing a lot more girls now manifesting with anger. But the thing is that the anger comes from all the things that you are saying and doing to this child. Stop. I say this all the time to parents. Do you want, when this child turns 14, 15, that they're coming to you and telling you first? You have to cultivate that so that whenever that child gets to the age where you want them coming to you,
they do.
They do, because you have cultivated it. You have been listening to them. You have been validating them. You have been building a relationship. And let's talk about relationships. Let's talk about the task of adolescence. Because adolescents, they're not supposed to be wanting to be with you forever.
That's right.
When they become adolescents, they're now wanting to be with their peers because they're going to learn from their peers.
That's right.
And so it's important to give them you should have been, from very young, monitoring who their friends are, so you know who their friends are, getting to know the friends so that you can vet that when they're young. And generally they will keep the same friends all the way through high school, sixth form.
That's true, and I do see that among some of my younger, I don't have kids, but I see it among some of my younger relatives, my cousins' kids, my own nephew and niece. It's a nice thing to see that.
Yes.
Because those people will have your back. right?
Yes.
When you get older. We're getting the signal to wrap up.
Ah,
So what
okay.
can we do as a final quick takeaway?
I really just want to say that a lot of the kids will put on a lot of makeup and things and think that's beauty.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Beauty comes from inside.
That's right.
It radiates out. And I can only get beauty on the inside if I have people validating me that I truly learned to love myself, and I am able to do all these things and shine.
That's right.
I love Miss Belize because Miss Belize radiates beauty inside and
she does.
out.
That confidence is there.
Yes.
And it does come from within. You really do see that.
And parents create that.
That's right.
Parents validate that. And so I'm putting the onus on you parents.
That's right.
That you have to validate your kids and love them.
Thank you so much, Jenny. As usual, a great session, especially on the theme of the show that we're having today, because again, you don't get to that inner beauty, that inner confidence without these measures. And so think about this, parents, as you head into the weekend. And actually, when we come back, we're going to have some young ladies who are part of a long tradition at St. Catherine's Academy, Myth SCA. This is also a combination of brains and beauty and purpose. So when we come back, we're going to meet this year's candidates. Stay with us with Open Your Eyes.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.